In today's lesson, we're going to learn about loft, sweep, shell, mirror, patterns, and offset planes. You can see I have a pair of headphones here, and that's what we're going to make today's lesson. So let's get started. I'm going to close this down. I'm going to go over to my waffle, and I'm going to go to my unit 1.3. Close my waffle back down. I'm going to go to create new component. I'm going to name my first component speaker. We'll hit OK. I'm going to go to create a sketch. I'm going to click on my front. And what I'm going to start with, I'm going to go to create, pull down, and I'm going to start with an ellipse. I'm going to select the origin. It's going to be very important that you select the origin. And my height is going to be 3.0. So I'm going to type in 3.0, and I'm going to left click once. I'm going to pull my cursor open, and my next dimension will be 2.0. And I'll hit enter. I'll finish that sketch. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the construct pull down, and we're going to select offset plane. I'm going to select that ellipse that I had. I'm going to pull my plane out this way, and I'm going to make that negative 0.5. I'm going to turn on the right side, and you can see here's my ellipse, and then here's my work plane. So you can see that it's offset just out a little bit. I'm going to go to create a sketch, and I'm going to click on that work plane. I'm going to make another ellipse, starting at the origin, pulling this one up, and I want this to be 2.25. I'm going to hit click. I'm going to pull open, and I want this to be 1.5 wide. I'm going to finish that sketch. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go up to construct, offset plane. I'm going to pick the second ellipse that I made. I'm going to pull that out a negative 0.5. I'm going to make a new sketch on that plane. Slide it up. This time I'm going to make a circle right at the origin. I'm going to make it 0.75. And we'll finish that sketch. So now you can see that I have 3 sketches. What I'm going to do is go create, and I'm going to slide down here to loft. And now I'm going to select each one of those sketches, my large ellipse, my small ellipse, and now my circle. When I'm done, I'll hit OK. And you can kind of see this conical shape that I've created from those 3 sketches. Next thing I want to do is I want to add a little bit on the back here. So I'm going to make a new sketch right on this little round area. And I'm immediately going to go and finish sketch. I'm going to go to extrude, and I'm going to extrude that out just 0.25. Now we're going to spin this around so we can see the inside here. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually carve out the inside. We're going to use a command called shell. So if I go up to the modified tab, and I can come down to shell, we're going to click on this face, and I'm going to shell that out. I want the thickness to be 0.1. So I want it thin. We'll hit enter. And now you can see that what it's done is it's created a shell. It's carved everything out and gave me the thickness of 0.1. So now I want to give it a little bit of appearance at this point. So I'm going to go up to modify, down to appearance. And what I want to do is I just want to paint the faces. I don't want the whole thing being one color. So I'm going to go faces. And I'm going to slide down here, and I'm going to find paint. And I'm going to select glossy. And I'm going to make this a nice bright yellow. And I want to paint that face, and I want to paint that face. What I also want to do is I want to paint maybe the back side here. So I'm going to spin this around, and I'm going to paint that ring black and that outside face black. All right. And I'll spin this back around so you can kind of see what I've got going here. I'm going to close down my appearance tab. Next thing I want to do is I want to create a new sketch, and I want to be right in this flat face surface right here. Slide it up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this offset, and I want to offset this little edge right here. And I want to pull it this way, and I want to offset that. And this one will be in a negative direction. So negative 0.05, just very small. I'm going to finish that sketch. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude that little lip right there and this big circle. And I'm going to extrude them only 0.05, just a little bit out. And you can kind of see that it came out a little bit. We're actually going to color this in. So I'm going to make it a nice black. So we're going to go modified. We'll go back to appearance again. Make sure that we select faces. And here's the one I used before. So I'm just going to drag that over and plop it right on the outside edge there. And this little ring right here, I also want black. So I'm going to pull that over, call that in black. And that last little ring, I want to color in black. And we'll close down our appearance window, and we'll just do the home view, and now we can just zoom around, kind of see what it looks like. Well, you said I just shelled everything out and I just covered it in. Well, we're going to do something. This is going to be the outside of my speakers. So I'm going to do is I'm going to put a new sketch right in this outside edge. And this is where we're going to use pattern. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to make a line. I'm going to start right here at the origin. I'm going to bring a line straight across. On that line, let's zoom in a little bit. I'm going to make a couple circles. Make one right here. I'm going to make 4 little circles. And I'm going to dimension those circles, and I want those circles to be 0.1. So I'm going to dimension all those circles, and I'm all 0.1. Now I want to dimension those circles from each other. So these last 2, I also want them to be 0.1. I want these to be 0.1. And actually 0.1 looks a little fine. Let's go with 0.15. And this last one we're going to make from this origin, we're going to make it 0.25. When I'm done, I'm going to delete that line. I don't need that line anymore. I'm going to finish that sketch, and now I'm going to go to extrude, and I'm going to select each one of those circles. Make sure I got them all highlighted. We'll spin around so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to cut those in. And I only need to cut them. I only made this 0.5, so we'll cut it in 0.1. And so what I've got is I got these holes, as you can see. And I can see the yellow on the inside. So you can see the inside of my speaker. Well, that's good, but my headphones have a lot of holes in them. So we're going to do something more with these holes. So the next thing, I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to go up here to construct. I'm going to go to where it says access through a center line, cone, or torus. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a center line down through here. And I'm going to use this round object right there. And I'm going to see that center line appear. I'm actually going to drag it out so you can see it a little bit better. So I can grab the end of it and drag it out. We're actually going to spin this around so we can see our holes again. And now we're going to work with a pattern. We'll look straight at this back side here. So I'm going to go up to create, and I'm going to slide all the way down to pattern, and we're going to make a circular pattern. And it's asking me what I want to make my circular pattern of. So I'm going to go back in, and we're going to turn this a little bit sideways so you can see it a little bit better. And I'm going to grab my holes. Nope, I grabbed 5 objects. I grabbed one too many. So let's try that again. So I grab my 4 holes. I can come up here and I can see that I grabbed the 4 and not the 5. So now I need an axis. Well, now I'm going to grab that center line that I just made. And you can kind of see the array that I got. And I like that quantity, 10. If I did a little bit more, I think you'd see that they kind of start touching each other. So I like 10. I'm going to leave it at 10. I'm going to hit OK. And now you can see I have a nice pattern going around through there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to turn it off so we can't see it. So right now, before I go any farther, I'm going to save. And I'm going to call this headphones. There's a couple more components that we have to make for these headphones. We need to make a bracket on the back. I need to attach the bracket, and we need to make the big thing that's going to hold them together. And I need to make a second one. So I want to make a hole right in the back here. So what I need to do is I need to make another sketch. So since I use the origin, I can go sketch. I'm going to look at the right side over here, and I want to put a sketch right in this plane. It's going to go right through the middle. If I turn this sideways, you're going to see that it should go right through the middle of this. We can spin this around. You can see as I spin around, it's going right down through the middle. So that's where I want it. So I'm going to look at my right side. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I need to use this edge right here. I want that edge. So what I'm going to do is to make sure I have it, I'm going to go over to create. I'm going to slide down to where it says project. I'm going to select project. I'm going to grab that edge right there. Now I'm going to do is I'm going to make a line right from the midpoint of that edge. I'm going to pull it straight through. And on that line, I'm going to make a circle. And I'm going to dimension that circle, and I want that circle to be 0.125. And I want it to be from the edge, also 0.125. I'm going to finish my sketch. I'm going to go to extrude. I'm going to make sure I grab both halves of that circle. And now I'm going to put it in isometric mode. Well, what I want to do is I want to extrude not just in one direction, Okay, but I want to pick two sides. I'm going to drag it out. And you can see that I'm cutting it. That's what I want. I want to cut a hole. And by dragging in both directions, I cut a hole all the way through. You can see the holes going all the way through. I'm going to go back up and hit save. So now my speaker is pretty much done. Now I need to make my next component. So now we're going to make a new component. So I'm going to go create new component. I'm going to call this bracket. We'll select OK. And you can kind of see that my original component grayed out, which is what we want. I'm going to make a new sketch. I'm going to put it right on this back edge right here. And I'm going to spin this around so you can kind of see that I do have a sketch. And you can kind of see that it is right on the back there. If I do look at right at the right side, there's my sketch right on the back edge. All right, so let's look at the front here. Zoom in a little bit. Well, on this, I want to use this outer circle. So I'm going to go up to my create. We'll slide down to project, and I'm going to select project. I'm going to grab that circle right there, and we'll hit OK. So I project that circle up onto my sketch. I'm going to make two lines. Make them go straight up and down. And I'll make a second line. And now I want to make them tangent to that circle. So I'm going to go up to my tangent. And I'll select my line, my circle. I'll select my other line and my circle. Well, what I want to do is I want to line up these endpoints. So I'm going to go to horizontal and vertical. I'm going to select that endpoint and that endpoint, and then the bottom two endpoints. And now I want to add some dimensions. So from the center of that circle to the bottom endpoints, I want them to be 0.2. And then from the center of my circle to my top endpoints, I want those to be 0.1. What we're going to do now is going to go to create, and we're going to go to arc. And I want to create a 3-point arc. I'm going to select my top edge right there, and then my other top edge. I'm going to make this arc. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch right down here by these circles and see where I get that command that shows me that they're tangent. So I'm going to click there, and you can kind of see, boom, it tells me I'm tangent because I can see the symbols pop up. So I wanted to make those tangent. Next, I'm going to go to offset. And I'm going to offset that shape I just made. I'm going to pull that out, and I'm going to offset that 0.25. So now you can see I have this big U shape. I'm going to connect my bottom parts. So I'm going to make a line. I'm going to connect from here to here, and then from here to there. The next thing I want to do is I want to make from my origin, I'm going to make a line coming straight up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a couple rectangles from the top of that line. I'm going to bring them down so my bottom part of my rectangle is in between those two arcs. I'm going to make another one over here. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to dimension those. So let me get out of this command that I'm in. We'll go to dimension. And I'm going to dimension those arcs at 0.125 each. And now I'm going to give them a distance. So let's see, we'll give it a distance from the center of my arc up to there, and we're going to make them a nice 1 inch. So now I want to start trimming some things out. So we're going to go up to trim, and I'm going to trim out some of the stuff in here. So I'm going to trim out those little arcs, the lines, and all that straight line, this bracket looking shape. So I'm going to finish my sketch. I'm going to go to extrude. I'm going to grab my bracket. I'm going to turn so we can see it. And I want it to go back this way. And I want it to go back. Well, this is going to be in a negative direction. So it's going to be 0.25. And create my bracket. I need to put some holes in this bracket. So I'm going to look down here at this little flat surface. So let's put a new sketch right here. I'm going to make a circle on there, and I'm going to dimension that circle, and that's going to be 0.125. Now I'm going to use some of the dimensions that I used from before. So I'm going to dimension from the top edge down to my circle, and I'm going to make that 0.1. I'm going to dimension from my circle or to my center, or my side, I should say. I'm going to make that 0.125. What we're going to do is I'll finish that sketch. We'll go to the home view so you can see what's happening. I'm going to extrude that circle, and I'm going to cut it all the way through. So if we look at the right side, you can see now I can see all the way through. So I like what I'm doing right there. I'm going to hit save. I'm maybe going to color this bracket in. So let's go to modify. Let's go physical. And this time I'm going to leave it on components because I want the whole bracket colored in. So let's pick up the whole bracket. And I'm going to pick a nice bright color. We're going to make that red. I like that. We'll close this down. And I like this. So now if I want to see what my whole thing looks like so far, I'm going to go the very top where I see headphones. And if I touch headphones, this little circle will open up. And I'm going to activate it. And then click. And now you can kind of see what I have going here. So I have my speaker, and you can kind of see that I have my bracket working. I spin around. You can kind of see the two of them together. You can see I can go all the way through there. There's my speaker. I can see anything inside. Well, I need a couple more pieces. So let's go up to create, new component. And we're just going to call this one peg because we need a peg to hold our bracket to our speaker. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to put a new sketch right down on that flat side again. And I'm going to go create, project, and I'm going to grab that little hole. I'm going to select OK, finish my sketch. And now I want to make a peg that's going to go all the way through there. So I'm going to hit extrude. I'm going to pick my little circle. I'm going to make it come all the way through. And now I got to figure out how long I want to make this peg. So I spin this around. I should be able to, instead of hitting distance, hit object and pick that face over there. I'm going to hit OK. And there's my peg. I like what I'm doing. I'm going to make sure I hit save. And to see how everything looks, I'm going to go back up to headphones, activate it, click in my area. And now I can see that I have this built. So I have a couple things. I still have my bracket and I still have the thing that's going to connect it. I only have one speaker, one bracket, one peg. I need a pair of headphones. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go up to construct, offset plane. We're going to grab this back edge and we're going to offset that in -3 inches. So we have an offset plane. We're going to go over to create and we're going to slide down until we see mirror, which is quite a ways down to the bottom. And what I want to mirror is I'm going to left click and I'm going to hold my mouse button down. I'm going to window everything right there. And what I want to mirror, I'm going to select my mirror plane, is I want to select the plane that I just made and select OK. So now you can see that all that work, I just had to make one and now I just doubled it up. So now we're very, very close to kind of finishing everything up here. So now I need the piece that's going to connect it. So I'm going to come down here on top of this bracket. I'm going to put a new sketch. Zoom in a little bit. I am going to go down and project that square. I'm going to make a circle. And if I come over here and I just get near the midpoint here, and then I slide up and get near the midpoint, you can see I'll get those two little lines in there. So I'm going to click there. I'm going to make my circle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go tangent and make that circle tangent to this box. One more thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go create point. And I want to put a point right here in the center of that circle. I'm going to finish this sketch. I'm going to go over the top over here. I'm going to put a new sketch. And what I want to do is I want to make a point over here. So I'm going to come over here to the midpoint here. I'm going to slide down and it's going to give me the midpoint over here. And right here, we're going to make another point. And you can kind of see that it popped in. So I'm going to finish that sketch. And now what I do is I need to make another sketch and connect these two. So I'm going to make a sketch. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to pick this plane right here. So if I look at the right side, I'm going to pick that plane right there that I'm going to put a sketch on. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to make that little bracket that connects the two. So I'm going to make a little line. And first of all, I got to come over here and I need to project that point. So I'm going to project that point. I'll select OK. I'm going to want to do the same thing on the other side. Create, project that little point right there. And we'll hit OK. And now I can draw my lines. So I'm going to draw a line right up here. We'll make that 1 inch. I'm going to make another line from this point, 1 inch. And now I'm going to go back to my 3-point arc. So create, arc, 3-point arc. I'm going to select on the end of that line and the end of that line. And I'm going to bring it up until I see those two little tangent symbols appear. And there they are. Make them tangent. I'm going to finish that sketch and we are almost done here. So now I'm going to zoom in and we'll go back up to sweep. I'm going to select that circle, select that line. So now I have my headphones. I might want to add a couple more little features in here. So I can go back if I want. I'm going to look at our right side. I can do sketch again. I can pick this plane. What I can do is I can go create, project, and grab that edge. I'm going to make a circle. Make sure I project that edge. Project, edge, hit OK. There we go. I'll make a little circle up here. Make it 0.2. Finish that sketch. Spin this around a little bit. We're going to put a little edge on here for us. I'm going to make a new sketch right in this little flat edge right here. And then all I'm going to do is just hit finish sketch. I'm going to do sweep again. Sweep that circle. My path. Let's grab that. Hit OK. Gives me a little bumper there. I'll look at my right side again. Do new sketch. Let's do the exact same thing over here. Create, project that edge. We'll hit OK. I'll make another circle. 0.2. Finish that sketch. Spin this around a little bit. On that little flat face right up here, we're going to do a new sketch right on that face. And I'm immediately going to hit finish sketch. Go over to create. Down to sweep. Click my profile. Come down here. Grab my path. Change it to join. Hit OK. There are my headphones. Next thing, make sure that you hit save. Hope you enjoyed this lesson.